Hi everyone, this is Hadi Lawais. Welcome to Jisor News and Happy New Year. My guest today is former Ambassador James Jeffrey, an American diplomat who served most recently as the United States Special Representative for Syria engagement. He has held senior assignments in Washington, D.C. and abroad, including the United States Ambassador to Iraq and Turkey. Let's go. Hello, Ambassador Jeffrey. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining me today. Ambassador Jeffrey, recent reports from the Kurdish local media suggest that the United States is building a new base in the city of Kobani. What do we know about this news, and could this be part of the Biden administration's strategies to solidify its vision for Syria and for the relation with SDF and establish a new reality for President Trump before leaving the office?
First of all, thanks for having me. No, I don't think so. I think this is a tactical measure. Remember, we have an agreement with Turkey since October 2019, negotiated between President Erdogan and Vice President Pence. I was part of the team. It said that there would be no further movement out of the spring area that Turkey had occupied in northeast Syria in 2019. That was the basis of the understanding that the Turks and the Syrian National Army, partners of the Turks, would remain in that area and that they would not advance beyond it. Kobani is outside of that area. There was no question about that. So after the Syrian National Army, with Turkish support, took Manbij and Tal Rafat, which were not part of the agreement, and the United States did not object. In fact, it worked with Turkey and with the Syrian Defense Forces, the SDF, to ensure an evacuation from those areas. But Kobani, which is east of the Euphrates, is a different situation. The United States is operating there with the SDF, including in Kobani, and this is just a tactical deployment. I don't see any problem. I think that right now, the ceasefire is a word the Turkish government does not use in reference to the Syrian Democratic Forces, but the absence of offensive military action on either side, other than some minor fighting in Manbij, is encouraging. And it is clear, I hope, that for the moment, negotiations between Hayat Tahrir al-Sham in Damascus and the SDF will find a way forward for the eventual inclusion of the Northeast and the SDF into the new Syria. That's everybody's goal.
What are the complicated issues that are preventing a deal until today?
Well, the main thing is the continued resilience of the Islamic State. The Islamic State, as we just saw in the attack in New Orleans, but as we've seen in very significant mass attacks in Moscow and in Iran over the past 2 years, and you'll remember in Turkey in the 2015 to 2020 period, indicates that the movement still has ambitions to be a major regional terrorist threat. The Assad regime, with Russian help, was not able to eliminate the Islamic State in areas south of the Euphrates. And so the United States, working with the SDF, but also working with other partners in the international community, is continuing to up the pressure on Islamic State elements or Daesh elements. Now, one question is when and whether the new government in Damascus can mount operations against Daesh. The more they can do this, the less the United States has to become involved.
Do you think the Trump administration will continue the same strategy? Because a few weeks ago, when the Assad regime was collapsing, President Trump stated that Turkey holds the key to Syria's future. Do you think Trump will delegate the issue of ISIS prisoners to Turkey?
Well, first of all, Turkey does hold the key to Syria's future because Turkey is the most important of several outside players who have military forces inside Syria right now, including Israel and the United States. And also, Turkish security is much threatened by instability and war to itself. So there's no doubt about that, and that's recognized in Washington. What the Trump administration will do specifically on those troops, I do not know. But bear in mind that in the end, President Trump twice sought to withdraw troops, but then concluded that they needed to stay on. And even when he was considering the withdrawal of troops, he did not want to give up the mission of keeping ISIS contained and deterred. That mission will continue on, particularly after the event in New Orleans 2 days ago.
What about the upcoming administration position from the new Syrian government? Do you believe that Trump will align closely with Turkey's perspective and eventually recognize the new Syrian government? Because I don't hear much excitement from Republicans, especially those who are close to Donald Trump, when it comes to HTS, the group that took over Syria.
First of all, I can't speak for the Trump administration. We have to wait and see. But I am also concerned about this. I don't want to see us make the same mistake with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham that we made with the Taliban after 2021. I closely studied Jolani and HTS when I was the Syrian envoy. We supported humanitarian assistance to Idlib, despite the fact it was controlled by a group on the terrorist list. We took very strong action, including public statements by President Trump in September 2018 to deter Assad, the Russians and Iranians from attacking Idlib, and supported Turkish efforts there consistently since then in both administrations, because we realized how important Idlib was. That said, the new administration may be too influenced, I think, by uncertainties about the past of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and the focus that the United States always places on counterterrorism. This, I believe, would be a mistake. Other countries are moving to establish relations and work with the new government in Damascus. I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt until they show themselves to be doing things that are not in the interests of the United States, not in the interests of the neighbors, that is Israel, Jordan, Turkey, Iraq, and Lebanon.
And speaking about Israel, what do you think about the recent Israeli attacks on Syria? How do you read it? And how do you think Israel and the United States will collaborate to ensure the security of the neighboring countries in the future?
Just like I urge the United States always to consider Turkey's critical and existential security concerns in its near abroad, I urge everybody else in the region to consider Israel's. Israel faced an existential attack on October 7th from a surrogate of Iran's, Hamas. Had Hezbollah and Iran and the Houthis all joined that day, Israel's very existence would have been at stake. Israel thus is pushing back across the Middle East against the Iranian proxy network very successfully. That's the reason that Israel has made these minor interventions into Syrian territory. I would point out that the amount of territory occupied in Syria by Israeli forces right now is far less than that occupied by either Turkish or American troops.
Again, President Trump said that it was Turkey that played a decisive role in toppling the Assad regime. Do you agree with that statement? And at what point do you think Ankara became fully aware of what the HTS was planning for, and how involved was Ankara in all of that?
Well, first of all, President Trump is right that Turkey played the role. There's no doubt that, at least unofficially, Turkey has long had close security relations with HTS in Idlib. It had to. There were 3 million internally displaced people there that, if Assad and his forces had marched in, would have come across the border into Turkey. I visited that border area. Those people were ready to come. So Turkey had every need to deal with HTS and to ensure that Assad wouldn't come in and that the humanitarian situation was bearable. And Turkey succeeded. In addition, of course, the Syrian National Army, that opposition force that Turkey supports directly, was also involved in the fighting in the last month against Assad's forces. So Turkey did play a strategic role. On the other hand, it is hard to see, if the United States had taken a different policy, if we had pulled our troops out, if we had embraced Assad, as some recommended, and of course, as some Arab states actually did, then it would be very hard to see how we would have come to this course of events.
Mhm. Uh, Over the last few years, do you think Turkey's position from SDF has changed in any way? Because even when it comes to PKK, we've been hearing from some parties, some groups in Turkey, that Turkey should step in and take any initiative for peace with the PKK, change its position from PKK and SDF. Do you think that's happening?
Well, I was involved as an intermediary and an observer in the first set of steps. We will call them ceasefire, even though that's rejected by Turkish officials, with the PKK in 2009, 2010, and on forward into 2015. It isn't, it takes two sides to tango, we say. The PKK in Kandil has constantly uh, been very, very difficult in terms of negotiating any kind of long-term solution to the problem of the PKK. They have exerted pressure on the SDF in northeast Syria to take a more hostile position towards Turkey. The U.S. presence there tended to soften that, but we knew that the pressure was there. And we now see effort inside Turkey that is gathering steam to reach out to certainly the PKK leader Öcalan and members of those political movements that are close to the PKK inside Turkey. I think that's a good thing. How that will impact the situation in northeast Syria, I think we have to wait and see.
So you think there is no deal on the table now, peace deal between the PKK and Turkey?
I think that people are looking at the possibility of one. Again, we're not there yet, and the last holdout in the past has been Kandil.
Mhm. And my last question to you, Mr. Jeffrey, what do you think is the right approach to Syria today, to HTS? What should the Trump administration do in the coming days and
All right.
months, of course?
First of all, Syria, throughout the reign of both Assad and his father, has been a danger to the region. Mr. Öcalan was, of course, given refuge there in the 1990s. It would not make peace with Israel when Jordan and Egypt did. And most importantly, in the last 20 years, it has become a key base for the Shia crescent, for that Iranian effort to seize the entire Levant, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and put pressure not just on Israel, but on Turkey, on Jordan, and on the entire Arab world. So it is a very good thing that Assad and the Iranians are gone. We need to build on that and ensure that whatever government we have in Syria does not itself threaten any of the five neighbors, nor allow forces within its country, be it the PKK, be it Daesh, be it the IRGC. I mean, think of all of the forces, subnational forces, military forces, militias that were running around Syria, threatening each in a different way, either Israel or Lebanon through arms shipments, or Turkey or Jordan. So that has to stop, and that should be our primary focus. That is a peaceful Syria that does not threaten its neighbors. Beyond that, the constitutional setup, apart from UN Resolution 2254, which is still valid, the international community should let the Syrian people take their own decisions.
Mhm. Do you think Trump administration should play a role in encouraging both Damascus and Israel to start to have relations, Damascus to join the Abraham Accords? Because in a previous interview with NPR, the governor of Damascus, the new governor, hinted that they are open to peace and they want the U.S. to delegate this message to Israel.
I think that's probably almost certainly underway at an informal level. Israel will make its own decisions, but it obviously, just like Turkey, needs a partner in security with its Syrian neighbor, and I think that will drive its decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey.
Thank you. Thank you very much.